Hello, my spooky angels. It's me, Lord Nicolina, aka Misunderstood Nicolina, and welcome to the second and final Halloween-themed episode of Angel Rise for 2023. Before we begin, I'd like to do something I did last year, and that is to reveal my Halloween costume for this year. This will be a yearly tradition from here on out on the second Halloween-themed Angel Rise episode. For those who don't know, last year I dressed up as the Saint version of my OC Nicolina. And for the last decade, with the exception of 2015, I've been dressing up as characters of my own creation. But this year, I'm going to be dressing up as a character from a video game I've been into since just after my 22nd birthday, which is Splatoon 3. And the character, you may ask? I referenced her back in my Anything for Blue poem, which I made back on July 31st this year. That being Shiver. You heard me right, everybody. I will be dressing up as Shiver this year for Halloween. I've gotta say, Splatoon has had a massive impact on me ever since I started playing it. And I feel it's more than fitting that I dress up as Shiver, one of the most iconic characters from the series up to this point. I won't go into detail about Shiver herself here, as I do plan on making an episode dedicated to my newfound love for the Splatoon franchise, so stay tuned for that. Also, there will be 2 more poem videos that'll come out before Halloween. Maybe even one I'll upload on Halloween as a big surprise for you all. But who knows? Either way, I hope you all are looking forward to them. And with that being said, it's time for the second and final Halloween-themed episode of Angel Rise of 2023. Let's get into it. For those who have familiarized themselves with my channel and have known me long enough to remember, I love Halloween. It's honestly my favorite time of the year. From the atmosphere, to the costumes, everything about it screams absolute joy to me. See what I did there? It screams joy to me? I think some of you might get it. Anyways, for this episode, I'm going to talk to you all about a few of my favorite memories from Halloween. Keep in mind, some memories may be shorter than others. It's because I don't remember much from certain memories, but others I can remember quite vividly. So I thought I would clear that up just in case. Now grab your favorite snack and or drink and enjoy this ride of spooky Halloween memories. Handing out candy in 2019. This was my first time handing out candy to trick-or-treaters, and honestly, it was a blast. For context, I trick-or-treated until I was 15. Then I took 2 years off just to relax on Halloween, mainly watching Halloween-themed movies and TV shows. But I still dressed up the 2 years I was off. In 2019, however, I felt the need to take on a new role when it comes to Halloween, that being handing out candy. Since my father handed out candy from time to time at his place, and compared to me at the time, who lived in the countryside, he lives in a neighborhood where there are plenty of houses, so plenty of opportunity to get trick-or-treaters at the door. And realistically, that was the only option. To clarify my costume for that year, I dressed up as a warrior inspired by my high school. It's honestly one of my favorite costumes I've ever done. And I did reference it back in episode 23 of Angel Rise, which I will leave a link to on the screen right here. Anyways, when I handed out candy for the first time, there wasn't many kids that came to the door, but for those that did come, it was mostly groups of around 3 to 5, including a few high schoolers, one of which I did recognize as the brother of a former friend of mine. Overall, the first time I handed out candy to trick-or-treaters was quite enjoyable. I mean, I loved receiving candy as a kid while doing so myself. But handing out candy? That's something only a few of my IRL friends did. But yet, I embraced it quite a bit. And I feel it's somewhat more enjoyable than receiving candy. Truth be told, I can't help but admire trick-or-treating. Whether I've received candy or handed it out, it honestly doesn't matter to me. And 2019 was the true realization of what it means to be part of such a long-standing Halloween tradition. Handing out candy in 2021. Keeping the trick-or-treating theme in note, 2021 was honestly no different. For the third straight year, I was handing out candy at my father's place, this time dressed as Nick Hellena. I got around the same amount of kids that I did the first time I did so, but there was a moment from that night that honestly will live in my mind forever. I had a speaker on hand that was playing Halloween music that I chose, some of which were Halloween themed, and others that I feel served the purpose. One of those songs was Sad But True by Metallica, the song I associate the most with Nick Hellena. It was this song that was playing during the point of the night where a good amount of trick-or-treaters were present. Keep in mind, the neighborhood my father lives in doesn't get as many trick-or-treaters as other neighborhoods do, but that time, I got around 8 to 10 of them in the span of around 5 minutes. Was the song the reason behind them being there? Or was it a pure coincidence that the song I associate Nick Hellena with the most was the peak of how many trick-or-treaters appeared at once? Either way, that was, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the craziest things to have ever happened with me on Halloween. Who knew that a song not as associated with Halloween would be among one of my favorite Halloween memories? Only God knew about it, I have to say.
And me too, Nicolina. I completely foresaw that.
I suppose so, Nick Hellena. I certainly didn't foresee it.
Oh, shut up! Don't deny it!
Maybe Nick Hellena knows more than I do. Interesting. Anyways, let's move on. The Decorative Graveyard. Near my grandparents' place, on the road to the west and up it just a bit, has a house that honestly has the best Halloween setup I've ever seen. And I first discovered it only last year when I first moved in. When I first saw the setup, I honestly was in utter shock on how well it was made. So picture yourself in my shoes. You're walking just past a corner down a hill, passing by a couple houses. Then you see a front yard of a house that contains a giant prop skeleton behind a sign that says, "The creepiest town in Canada," featuring a picture of a church on the street I used to live on, and beside them are prop gravestones with names of several famous people from around my area, and those from popular horror movies such as Halloween, Beetlejuice, Nightmare on Elm Street, among many others. In front, you see a fence with fake caution tape, and to top it all off, there's a sign counting down the days until Halloween. I believe it's fair to say that the people who live at that house are huge into Halloween, because even after Halloween, the sign counting down the days until then remains up, which I think is really cool. The decorative graveyard at that house is back up for this year too, and I have passed by it a couple times while on my walks. And I stare at it in awe in how well made it really is. It really gets me in the Halloween spirit. No doubt about it. And every time I pass by it, it reminds me of the first time I saw it. So freaking good. To the people of that house, if you're watching this, you have clearly outdone yourselves. You've definitely given me and many others a humongous reason to recognize such an amazing tradition like Halloween. And last, but certainly not least, my childhood trick-or-treating route. This is arguably my most favorite memory from Halloween, and the sole reason why I wanted to make this episode in the first place. I referenced this all the way back in episode 21 of the series, but I'm going into more detail about it here. The route in question took me up the street my grandparents live on, then we make a left at the east end, go up the road for a little bit, then make a slight right onto the street that contained a nearby park. Then, we made a left at the end of that road and continued all the way to the end of it, including going through an intersection. Then we make it to the corner, make a left, walk straight down, and return to my grandparents' place once my siblings and I, plus occasionally one of my older sister's friends, finished trick-or-treating, and we would count out our candy there, and even trade candies we didn't like for ones we did like. In later years when we went trick-or-treating, we added on the road that looped behind my grandparents' place and paid visits to the houses there, which I think spoke as high a volume as the classic route. This is why my grandparents' place reminds me a lot of how often we trick-or-treated in the area on Halloween, and I often take walks on the exact route my siblings and I trick-or-treated on when we were kids. The good majority of the houses we came across on our route were usually decorated for Halloween, while some weren't as much, but they did give out candy. Every time I walk through the neighborhood my grandparents live in, I can't help but feel absolutely nostalgic. Honestly, it does feel like I go trick-or-treating whenever I take walks down this route. And now, I'm handing out candy at my grandparents' place. In my mind, it's no doubt an amazing tribute, along with my walks, to give to those exact streets I walked on during Halloween as a kid. Without a shadow of a doubt, the route, along with the 3 other memories I've shared, make Halloween, without a doubt, not only the spookiest, but my most favorite time of the year. That is all for episode 37, everyone. Like I mentioned, Halloween is without a doubt my most favorite time of the year. It used to be Christmas, but Halloween has a super special place in my heart that I honestly will always reserve for it. And to everyone watching this, what is your favorite memory from Halloween? Feel free to share them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to leave a like and share this with your loved ones. Spread the word about Angel Rise. For those that are new here and would like to join this journey of mine, then please feel free to subscribe to join the blue and white Angel Brethren today. Click on the notification bell when you subscribe so that you are notified whenever I release new content. And check out my other videos too. Thank you all so much for watching the second and final Halloween Angel Rise episode of 2023. I hope you all have a great day or night whenever you are watching this. And I also hope you all have a safe and wonderful Halloween. Until we meet again, My name is Lord Nicolina, aka Misunderstood Nicolina. Be strong, stay positive, and as always, God bless. Happy Halloween!